Okay, today we're going to spend a little time going over some examples with solving for time for objects that are in free fall. Now this equation might seem like it's a little bit more challenging, but it's just plugging numbers into a calculator, and I can do that in my computer as well. If you have a scientific calculator like a blue math calculator or maybe a yellow one, my recommendation would be just type everything in underneath the square root. If you're using a computer calculator, I would recommend just making sure that you're being safe. I would do everything underneath the square root first, and then I'm taking the square root last, kind of like I did here with this example. Flower pot falling from 20 meters above the ground. How long does it take to hit the ground? The equation for that particular problem, if I'm solving for the time is equal to the square root of 2 times your height divided by the acceleration of gravity. And like I said, we can simplify everything underneath the square root first and then take the square root at the very end of the problem. So if I happen to take a look here at question number 1, tree branch falls from 10 meters above the ground. How long does it take to hit the ground? So right here, 10 meters above the ground, that is giving me a height. Anytime that I have something that's measured in meters, that meters measures a distance. An object is in free fall. It accelerates at 10 meters per second squared here on Earth. How long does it take to reach the ground? That is what I'm solving for, t. The equation, if I'm solving for time, square root 2 times d divided by g. I plug in my numbers, 2 times 10, divide by 10. Now, like I mentioned before, since I'm using my computer calculator, the way I put in a square root, I want to have everything simplified underneath the radical before actually pressing the square root button. So I'm taking 2 times 10. Oh no, there's no fraction button on the calculator. That's fine. A fraction, this just means I'm dividing by the number that's on the bottom. So when I take this, I want to take the square root of 2, and taking the square root is the last thing that I am going to be picking. This answer ends up being 1.4. And 1.4, I'm not putting in any units. I'm only entering the numerical value. Let's go ahead here and take a look here at number 2. Number 2, a rock falls from 5 meters above the ground. So it's going to go a distance of 5 meters. It's in free fall. So the acceleration of gravity is 10 meters per second squared. It is always 10, and I'm trying to solve for the time. Time is equal to the square root, 2 times the height divided by g. 2 times, what was my height? 5, divided by 10. I'm going to simplify everything above the square root, or everything inside the square root. 2 times 5, divided by 10. That's giving me 1. So time is equal to the square root of 1. When I take the square root of 1, all I get is 1. Oops, I didn't want to divide by 10. 1 square root equals, and it's just 1. And that's what I want to enter over here in my form. You can either have 1 or 1.0, either one's in there. Just don't forget to take the square root after simplifying everything underneath the radical. If you are using just a regular calculator like you might get from math class, a yellow one, or maybe it's just a blue calculator, you can just type that all right in all at once. But good luck.